It should have been one of the proudest moments of my life, watching my son graduate from college and give the valedictorian speech. Instead, it turned into a living nightmare that I almost didn't wake up from.
Help!
Help! Help!
Someone call an ambulance!
Call an ambulance!
Dad, oh my God! Someone help him!
I woke up in the hospital, hooked up to wires and beeping machines.
Doctor, what happened?
I heard my wife ask,
Mrs. Mills, your husband suffered a stroke.
A stroke? But how?
His high blood sugar damaged a major blood vessel in his brain, and we won't know the extent of it until we get an MRI.
Oh, God. Please help us.
I heard my wife whisper as she clasped her hands together in prayer. Hi there, my name is Jerry Mills, and my erratic blood sugar almost cost me my life. It ripped apart my family and destroyed one of the biggest days of my only son's life. Yet less than 29 days later, I reprogrammed my metabolism and reset my healthy blood sugar, all while bringing my sky-high numbers back down to earth and within a healthy range. My doctor couldn't believe it, especially since I did it without diet or exercise and without inconvenient and often painful injections or dangerous and costly medications that stretched my budget like a rubber band. Instead, I did it using a completely natural, 100% safe 15-second morning blood sugar ritual. A blood sugar reset first discovered on a remote tropical island located in the South Pacific and used to completely reverse the signs and symptoms of my high blood sugar. This simple yet unbelievable powerful morning blood sugar ritual was instrumental in restoring my ability to manage healthy blood sugar and reverse my type 2 diabetes. It's the reason why I've been able to drop so much weight, why I look and feel 20 years younger, and why I now have a new lease on life. All thanks to my ability to reset my blood sugar to a healthy range, reclaim control over my metabolism, and melt away 57 pounds of ugly and dangerous belly fat. I praise God for leading me to this discovery and allowing me to live out the rest of my life healthier and happier and with more energy than I ever thought possible. And for now, giving me the ability to share this previously hidden method with you. So as painful and humiliating as my story is to tell, I think it's far too important and vital to not share, because what you're about to see and here not only brought me back from the brink of death, restoring my health, energy, and youthful vitality, but it also gave my marriage a second chance and rebuilt my relationship with my son. My marriage is stronger and more passionate than ever. I'm enjoying all my favorite activities again, including stand-up paddle boarding, snow skiing, and hiking. I'm even ready to babysit my newborn baby grandson. That's all because, as frightening and horrific as my brush with death was, it sent me down a rabbit hole of discovery, a journey that ultimately led to a breakthrough that revealed the root cause of high blood sugar, belly fat, and uncontrollable weight gain, and the laundry list of health problems it causes. You see, this breakthrough revealed to me a simple morning blood sugar ritual that melted away 57 pounds of pure ugly fat that was squeezing the life from my vital organs and ultimately balanced my blood sugar and reversed my type 2 diabetes. I was thrown a life preserver that ultimately saved me, as well as thousands of folks from all over who have added this same morning blood sugar ritual to their daily routine, restoring healthy blood sugar and taking back control of their lives, allowing them to now live life to the fullest without the stress and worry that erratic blood sugar can bring, without having to monitor every last bite of food you put into your mouth or painfully resisting every craving, and without having to deal with the complications of high blood sugar constantly, like high blood pressure, vascular problems, kidney failure, nerve pain, memory issues, and more. It also means being able to finally lose weight, proud of how you look, and the energy to truly enjoy life. Wearing clothes you haven't been able to wear in years, and buying new clothes to fit your new, trimmer, and healthier body. Best of all, it means living life on your terms, without the heavy burden of high blood sugar. When I went to see my doctor, he couldn't believe the difference. He reviewed my blood work, looked up at me, and smiled.
You no longer have diabetes.
He said with a look of disbelief. And one thing that made a huge difference for me was the fact that not only was my blood sugar now under control and completely normal, I had zero cravings, making it so easy to avoid those late night binges that once dominated my life. So if you're sick and tired of being at the mercy of your rising blood sugar, and if you're terrified of the associated health complications that come with erratic and hard to control blood sugar, if you've had enough of being overweight, out of shape, and unhealthy, and if you would like to turn your life around once, again, and for all, and pay close attention then, because just minutes from now, I'm going to share this incredibly easy to use morning blood sugar ritual with you. You'll want to try it first thing tomorrow because it acts directly on two vital organs that regulate your blood sugar. These organs were designed to work together to keep your blood sugar perfectly balanced. And let me just say, it is not a Band-Aid designed to work in the short term. It's about reversing and eliminating the true cause of high blood sugar, which has been hidden from you until now. It works regardless of whether you're a man or a woman, whether you're 30, 40, 50, or even 80 years old. It works if you've been struggling to control your blood sugar for years, or if blood sugar problems are new to you and diabetes has just recently reared its ugly head. Until now, Big Pharma has had a monopoly on treating high blood sugar. However, once I share with you the real culprit behind high blood sugar, the root cause that nobody is talking about, and reveal this simple morning blood sugar ritual, you'll know exactly how it all really works and why nothing you've been told to do has worked up to this point. When you finish watching this short presentation, you'll have the solution to high blood sugar in the palm of your hand, and you'll know exactly how to use it. Truth is, once you understand just how easy it is to restore your healthy blood sugar, gaining so much as 1 extra pound will be virtually impossible, even if you're eating pizza, pasta, noodles, ice cream, or even cake, because your newly efficient blood sugar control will now take everything you eat and quickly and easily convert it into a usable energy. And you'll see how all of your past failures were in no way your fault. There's a scientific explanation for why every other so-called solution left you frustrated and scared. More importantly, you're about to uncover a simple trick that, when used first thing in the morning, restores your body's healthy response to sugar, carbs, and even fat. This reset normalizes blood sugar and reverses type 2 diabetes, the health trouble that comes with it too. It melts stubborn fat and automatically floods your body with powerful energy. I promise this flies in the face of everything you've ever seen or heard about blood sugar, diabetes, and losing weight. And getting rid of diabetes and tightening your waistline will be just the beginning. As you restore your healthy blood sugar, your overall health and well-being will improve. You'll look and feel younger, more vibrant and energetic, as if you rewound your age by 5, 10, or even 20 years. Your inability to control your blood sugar and weight have nothing to do with your genes, even if diabetes runs in your family. It's not caused by you overeating carbs or sugar or anything else. If it were, then diabetes and blood sugar problems would be going down, not up, as popular diets like keto and paleo have taken hold here in America. But instead, cases are still going up. In fact, experts say that here in the United States, more than half of the population will have diabetes or some sort of blood sugar control issue in just the next few years. That's because everything we've been told to do is a calculated lie, told by those with the most to gain from the skyrocketing blood sugar epidemic. Think about it. Why else would it be so hard? Lowering blood sugar, slimming down, and enjoying an active, healthy, pain-free lifestyle should be easy. But it's not, even after you've done everything you've been told to do. I'm here to tell you that these days are behind you. So close the door, turn off your phone, and listen closely to what I'm about to tell you, because you're about to free yourself from the death grip of diabetes. Activate your body's internal fat-burning system, double or even triple your energy, and get back to living life on your terms. Your new life begins right now. As I said earlier, my name is Jerry Mills, and I'm 58 years old and a water research engineer from Tampa, Florida. I'm not here to pretend to be some diabetes expert. I'm not a celebrity fitness trainer or some sort of doctor either. Instead, I'm an average guy, a devoted husband, a proud father, and a brand new grandpa. However, don't let the simplicity of my life fool you, because even though I sound pretty ordinary, the story I'm about to share with you is anything but. You see, just 2 short years ago, I was diagnosed with diabetes. It came out of nowhere and turned my life upside down. Like a silent stalker, I always knew in the back of my mind that diabetes was out there waiting to get me. My dad was an insulin-dependent diabetic and passed away due to complications a few years back. But I thought it was because of his poor self-control and bad habits. I ate well, exercised 3 to 4 times a week, played golf, and even walked my dog a few miles daily. So I never thought it would happen to me. Then I hit 50, and it seemed like my body had developed a mind of its own. I hadn't changed a thing with my diet, and I was exercising as much as ever. But suddenly, my pants felt tighter, I lost my energy, and I just felt like something was off. Until then, I could still get away with an occasional bowl of ice cream or a slice of hot apple pie. But now, if I so much looked at a dessert menu, I'd gain a pound or two. Before I knew, it was up 8 pounds, and it all seemed to be parked right in my belly. As the weight piled on, I started to feel other things too. An old knee injury started to act up. My blood pressure spiked, and I started waking up at night to pee. Then something strange happened. My muscles started to cramp up, and my skin got really dry. You'll see why that was such a wake-up call in just a moment, plus a quick and easy way to fix it. Before I knew it, I'd gained 57 pounds. I looked terrible and felt even worse. Walking to the mailbox left me winded and out of breath. And at the end of my workday, I couldn't wait to get home to just sit in my recliner and rest. My marriage was suffering too. My wife felt neglected and unfulfilled as our intimacy vanished into thin air. It wasn't like I didn't love her or that I didn't find her attractive and desirable. I just had no drive. And even when I did, well, let's just say my performance wasn't up to par. My wife would try to get me aroused and wear sexy lingerie and snuggle up next to me at night, but I wasn't in the mood. I told her I was exhausted or I had an early meeting. I felt like an old man, but somehow I justified it by telling myself it was normal at my age. Deep down I knew that was a lie, and I did everything I could to get myself back on track. I tried cutting out carbs and cutting fat and cutting calories. I doubled up on my cardio and joined the local gym. I got a personal trainer, tried one of those meal delivery services, tried meditation, and even bought one of those cookie jars that locks itself shut. Yet no matter what I did, the weight just wouldn't budge. I tried getting more sleep, but just woke up tired. My energy was drained, and I fell into a deep depression. Things felt helpless, and I felt like I had no control over my body. I felt trapped, as if I had nowhere to turn. Finally, my wife insisted I see a doctor. So I went in, and he ordered blood work. My results came back, and I was borderline diabetic. My doctor wasn't surprised, given my family history. He then casually took out his prescription pad and started writing. He put me on blood pressure pill, a cholesterol medication, metformin. The side effects were terrible. I was sick to my stomach, felt burning in my throat, and couldn't go to the bathroom. And as if that wasn't bad enough, my food cravings shot through the roof. I woke up in the morning craving sugar and went to bed wanting something sweet. And even when I was good and successful resisting those cravings, my blood sugar spiked anyway. Plus, even after starting the medications, I gained another 12 pounds. I was exhausted, but I couldn't sleep. I would wake up all hours of the night, and little sleep that I did get, I was restless and shallow. And I'd wake up drenched in sweat and gasping for breath. So I went back to the doctor. This time my blood sugar was even higher and my blood pressure was dangerously out of control. That's when he told me I was now a full-blown diabetic. I couldn't believe it. And neither could my wife. After my dad passed, she would always talk about how worried she was that it would happen to me too. And now her worst nightmare had come true. I was terrified and numb. How could this happen? I'd done everything my doctor told me to do. Sure, I did occasionally cheat on my diet, but my wife saw to it that I never missed my meds. Regardless, things had now spiraled out of control. So my doctor did what doctors do. He gave me a new prescription. Now I suffered from splitting headaches, and the water pills made me pee every 5 minutes. And soon my kidneys started to show signs of failing too. Nothing was working, and everything seemed to lead to another dead end. Soon after, my doctor told me I'd have to go on insulin. And while stabbing myself with a needle several times each day was a major inconvenience, the bigger problem was the fact that my insurance didn't cover the full cost of my meds. Soon I was paying $553 per week. That's $2,212 per month and $26,544 per year. And still none of it was helping. I remember it was like yesterday. I was sitting in my recliner, relaxing and watching football, something I always look forward to on the weekends, for sure. I was exhausted from a hectic week and just wanted to rest. My son and his new bride, they were over, and I could hear them talking to my wife on the back patio. They were talking about the coming birth of my grandson and how excited and ready they were to be parents. Then it suddenly got quiet, and I heard my son say,
I just hope Dad's around long enough to really get to know the baby.
My heart sank as I realized he was right. At the rate I was going, I'd be lucky to see my grandson's first birthday. There I was, sitting next to what seemed like a dozen pill bottles beside me. Blood pressure meds, antidepressants, water pills, erection drugs, diabetes medications, and insulin. All of it was somehow supposed to help me feel better, keep me alive and make me healthy. But the harsh reality is that none of it did. In fact, none of it actually fixed the problem at all. Instead, these drugs acted more like a bizarre life support of sorts, barely keeping you alive while at the same time slowly killing you. As each day passes, you become more dependent on big pharma. And before you know it, your routine is centered around your meds, and you never really get any healthier either. For me, each new prescription felt like another nail in my coffin. Soon, along with the high blood sugar, high blood pressure, and high cholesterol, I had numbness and tingling in my feet. My vision was getting blurrier by the day, and my ED had completely canceled my sex life. But none of that could have prepared me for what happened on the day of my son's college graduation. After my stroke, I spent 2 days completely out of it, laying in a hospital bed, drugged up and oblivious to what was happening all around me. When I finally gained my senses, the doctors told me that I'd suffered a stroke due to my poor blood flow caused by diabetes. I was told that I got lucky and that this time I should make a full recovery, although my right arm would be a little weak for a while and my face a little numb. They also said that if I didn't get things under control, I would have another stroke. But this time, it'd probably kill me, or at the very least, cause permanent disability. I felt so weak and so vulnerable and so depressed. I hated laying there with tubes sticking out of me and the constant beeping of the machines. I hated the worried look on the faces of my family every time that they came to see me. I felt like a complete failure. I used to be the strong one, the backbone of the family, the one everyone could count on, and the one who would always be there. But I couldn't even be there for my son's college graduation, even though he was the valedictorian. Now, he was expecting his first child, and I was facing the real possibility of having another stroke. A stroke that could possibly kill me, or worse yet, turn me into a pathetic shell of my former self, forcing my family to take care of me. To me, that was a fate worse than death. When I saw my son for the first time, after my stroke, I couldn't contain my sorrow or my grief. I sat there blubbering like a baby and begging him to forgive me. Then he began to cry, telling me it would all be okay, that my health was all that mattered now. All he wanted me to do was get better. But you didn't give your speech, I said. And that's when he told me that he just wanted me to be there when his son was born. That night, after everyone left, I couldn't get the horrible thought of missing out on my grandson's life out of my head, of him not knowing his grandpa, or worse yet, him seeing me as some frail, sick old man, and without me being able to work, my wife would have to go back into the workforce and would be forced to sell her house. I couldn't bear the thought. As embarrassing as it is to say, that night I contemplated ending it all. At least that way they'd have life insurance money and there'd be no chance of a second stroke turning me into a burden on my family. I couldn't see any way out. And the last thing I wanted was to live the rest of my life going back and forth to doctor's appointments, blindly taking pills that made me feel terrible and drained my bank account, all while doing nothing to help me get better. I couldn't do that to my family. What kind of husband and father would I be? What kind of grandfather would I be? I'd rather be dead than place all that pressure on them. As I lay in the hospital bed that night with thoughts of doom and gloom, worry, fret, and fear, I remembered something my dad once said to me when I was in high school. It was my freshman year, and I wanted to play football on the junior varsity team. But as a freshman, you were automatically designated to the freshman team unless you asked for a tryout. I told the coach I was ready and that I wanted to try out. But when the day came, I was so overcome with fear and self-doubt that I stayed home sick from school. My dad came home that night and asked how the tryout went. When I told him that I was sick and that I had stayed home, he looked at me straight in the eye and said, "Jerry, in life you only get what you think you deserve. If you think you deserve to be on that JV team, then do it. If you don't think you deserve it, then don't. Either way, it's your choice." Right then and there, I decided that I deserved to get better. I deserved to be healthy. I deserved to be happy. And I deserved to be a grandpa. That night, I prayed for strength. Then I promised God that if He could grant me the wisdom to find a solution to my high blood sugar and failing health, one that would return me to being the man my family so desperately needed and deserved, that I would share my discovery with the world. At that moment, a sense of peace washed over me. I felt confident that I would find a solution. I had faith. A few days later, when I was released from the hospital, I started my research. Initially, what I found is that diabetes drug research is focused on one of two things: either creating drugs that stimulate the pancreas to produce more insulin, or making drugs that clear sugar from your body. In essence, these approaches do work. That is, if your goal is to simply lower your blood sugar. The problem, you come to find out, is that they also give both you and your doctor a false sense of security. Here's what I meant by that. You see, if either of these approaches really worked, there would never be any complications. Think about it. Even though people lower their blood sugar with these medications, they still suffer from heart problems, high blood pressure, nerve pain, kidney failure, amputations, and strokes. If simply lowering blood sugar was the answer, then these drugs would be the solution. But we both know that's not the case. Take me, for example. I was following everything my doctor told me to do. I never missed a pill or an injection, yet I still suffered a stroke at my son's college graduation. I know that the standard treatments for diabetes were not going to help me. And if I truly wanted to get better, I had to find something that would. There had to be something else there that doctors didn't yet know about, or were simply keeping it to themselves. There had to be another explanation. Luckily, I live just 2 hours away from one of the best medical schools in the country. So I decided to make the drive to see what I could find hiding in their medical library. I knew that if there was an answer, I'd find it there. I didn't know how much that decision would ultimately change my life. My wife wasn't too happy about me making the 2-hour drive alone. She even offered to take me, but I knew this was something that I needed to do alone. I planned on driving up to Florida, grabbing a cheap hotel, and then spending the weekend doing research. And after convincing my wife that she didn't need to go, she still insisted on packing my bag and sorting all of my medications. She even programmed alerts on my phone so I wouldn't forget to take them. I kissed her goodbye and made my way to Gainesville, Florida, where the university is located. I checked into my hotel and immediately headed to the medical library without wasting any time. I spent hours skimming through medical journals, looking at studies on diabetes, obesity, heart disease, and stroke, and how together they eat away at your body and soul. I had my head down for what must have been hours, and then just as I was about to call it a night, a young man sat down across the table from me. He had a stack of scientific journals in front of him, and I couldn't help but notice that many of them had something to do with diabetes. I saw the Journal of Endocrinology, Diabetes Care, and the Journal of the American Diabetes Association, so I had to ask him what he was working on. Well, he looked up at me with a warm smile and told me his name was Craig, and he was a medical student at the university. He had chosen internal medicine as his specialty, but was intrigued by a class he was taking from a visiting professor named Dr. Patel, who specialized in diabetes. He told me the professor had spent time on a tropical island in the South Pacific where he discovered a miraculous protocol to reverse diabetes. The problem was that many of his findings went against the status quo, and several of the large pharmaceutical companies had been leading efforts to get the doctor banned from speaking at universities and conferences. However, because of his success, there was tremendous interest in his work, which made it difficult for them to cancel him completely. Craig went on to explain that the focus of the doctor's work was the delicate balance between two different types of cells in the pancreas. According to the doctor, two types of diabetes isn't just a problem with the insulin-producing beta cells in the pancreas, but also with another type of pancreatic cell called alpha cell. Alpha cells secrete the hormone glucagon, which acts on the liver to release stored sugar, which then raises blood sugar levels. His theory is that in the early stages of diabetes, the body becomes less responsive to insulin. This causes your beta cells to work overtime to pump out even more insulin, eventually causing beta cell damage. This results in slowing down of insulin production, which then spikes your blood sugar. But that's only the beginning, Craig continued, because this leaves the alpha cells of the pancreas unchecked. And when blood sugar levels drop due to the use of medications or even a new diet, alpha cells secrete glucagon, which then raises your blood sugar. It's why blood sugar can spike even when you don't eat. And without healthy beta cells, blood sugar levels can spiral out of control. To make matters worse, as blood sugar rises and falls erratically, your body begins to crave sugar. Have you ever felt like you were doing everything right, taking your medications, watching what you eat, yet you still can't lose weight? Now you know why. It's because your beta cells are failing and the alpha cells are now running the show. However, Craig said that Dr. Patel was convinced that the balance between the alpha and beta cells could be restored, and healthy blood sugar could be achieved without medication or even dieting. How? I asked. By finding natural plant-based compounds that receive beta cell function and lower insulin resistance, Craig replied. Well, I was excited to hear more, but then suddenly, in a mid-sentence, Craig looked at his watch and said, I really gotta go, but you should hear Dr. Patel speak. He's giving a lecture on Monday as part of an international panel discussion on the global impacts of diabetes. He quickly scribbled the information down on a piece of paper for me and then got up and left. I attended the lecture just 2 days later, and when Dr. Patel was finished speaking, I walked over to him. As I approached, he looked up at me with a warm and sincere smile and said, "You look like you could use some help." He then offered me a seat. Dr. Patel looked about 40, but it turned out he was 67. His eyes were bright and inquisitive, and his complexion was clear and smooth. There wasn't a wrinkle anywhere to be found, and the only hint that he was a little older was his salt and pepper hair. I immediately told him who I was and why I was there, and I explained to him that I had recently suffered a stroke due to my diabetes and was still recovering. I told him what meds I was on and how I felt that they were ruining my life. I told him what the doctor said about my risk of having another stroke, how much I hated the idea of being a burden to my family, and about my grandson on the way. I must have sounded ridiculous, but I had so much to tell him and not much time. Look, I said, I know this sounds a little strange, but I feel like I'm running out of options. Can you just tell me in layman's terms exactly what I need to do to reverse my diabetes? He stood there and stared at me for what seemed like forever, with a look of deep contemplation on his face. He must have seen the desperation in my eyes, because the next thing I knew, we were on the way to his office to talk some more. Once we got there, he motioned toward a chair and asked me to sit. You know, the credit really goes to the medical team over at Loma Linda University, he said. He then turned his computer monitor towards me. On the screen was a picture of a beautiful tropical island. These are the Marshall Islands, he said to me. He then explained that before 1982, diabetes was virtually non-existent on the island. The residents were slim, healthy, and fit. They enjoyed an energetic and active island lifestyle of fishing, diving, running, and climbing. Then almost overnight, diabetes became one of the leading causes of death on the island, ultimately affecting over 50% of the island residents and causing 75% of the island to become overweight. How did the entire island become overweight and diabetic, I asked. Simple, he said. They adopted the standard American diet. The cause is pretty obvious, he continued. But what is really interesting is what happened next. You see, the rise in blood sugar-related health issues became so devastating that a nonprofit medical missionary group was awarded a grant to conduct a lifestyle intervention diabetes study. During the study, researchers implemented a unique way of eating using specific foods, many of which were available naturally on the island. And the results were nothing short of miraculous. Within 2 weeks, fasting blood sugars declined an average of 100 points, and cholesterol levels dropped 20 points, while triglycerides fell more than 40 points. The really exciting part is that their need for medication was also drastically reduced, and they lost a ton of weight. Put simply, many of them completely reversed their diabetes. Dr. Patel said that when he first heard about these results, he had to know more. Unfortunately, the medical community as a whole wasn't that interested and quickly discounted the results as nothing more than a fluke. So Dr. Patel decided to find out for himself. He took a leave of absence from his practice and flew to the Marshall Islands, where he stayed for almost 4.5 months. Working closely with a team of local doctors, he analyzed the data on more than 1,200 patients who had completely reversed their diabetes. He interviewed and examined them and reviewed their blood work. And what he found was that the majority of people who had successfully reversed their diabetes remained diabetes-free, even if they were no longer eating the recommended foods. They stayed active, lean, and healthy. Even the older men and women were full of life. It was the complete opposite of what we see here in America, where diabetes, obesity, and heart disease run rampant as people become dependent on harsh and toxic drugs. Dr. Patel analyzed the foods they were eating and cross-referenced their nutrient profiles. He was particularly interested in how these nutrients affected their blood sugar immediately after a meal, 3 hours later, and first thing in the morning. He found that no matter what they ate, as long as they consumed a specific array of nutrients, their blood sugar would remain in normal, healthy ranges. This was even true after a particularly high sugar meal. By morning, their blood sugar was perfectly reset back to normal. Dr. Patel determined that the key blood sugar lowering ingredient consumed by the locals was a plant grown on the island. It was called Artocarpus altilis, and it worked by lowering the absorption of glucose from food. Dr. Patel also theorized that the decrease in sugar absorption gave the beta cells a rest, allowing them to rejuvenate. This reduced the amount of stored sugar in the liver too, so that the alpha cells had nothing to release. In other words, as long as the islanders were eating this plant along with their meals, they could pretty much eat whatever they wanted and still enjoy healthy blood sugar. The locals had been eating this plant for centuries, but it was somehow forgotten when they switched to the standard American diet. The problem, according to Dr. Patel, was that this particular plant was somewhat hard to come by and only grew in specific tropical regions. so it wasn't exactly a plant that most people in the world with diabetes had access to. So he set out to find an alternative that worked in a similar way. His research led him to a plant called Morus alba. This plant had the same properties as Artocarpus altilis, but was much more accessible. Morus alba has long been used in traditional Chinese medicine to treat various problems, including blood sugar control, and it does by utilizing several effective mechanisms to inhibit the production and absorption of excess blood sugar. One study published in the Journal of Medicine Food demonstrated the ability of Morus alba to regulate glucose metabolism. Dr. Patel explained that most people don't realize that blood sugar isn't just about how much sugar you eat or how many grams of carbohydrates. It's also about survival. He said that if blood sugar drops too low, humans can die. So the body has built in a mechanism to ensure that a steady supply of sugar is delivered to the bloodstream, whether you eat or not. It's a process called gluconeogenesis. And when the liver makes and releases sugar into the blood and it's stimulated by the alpha cells, he said, to give you an idea of how efficient this process can be, after 14 hours of not eating anything, 47% of your blood glucose comes from this process. Morus alba works by inhibiting a key molecule that promotes this process, which helps to control the amount of sugar being pumped out of your liver. In doing so, it significantly lowers blood sugar. Morus alba also helps with after-meal blood sugar control. That's because it contains an extract known as DNJ, 1-deoxynigeromycin, which inhibits the conversion of starches to sugar. That way, more of the food you eat passes through you instead of being absorbed into the bloodstream. In one study comparing Morus alba to a popular diabetes drug, researchers found that it lowered fasting blood sugar by 27% compared to only 8% for the drug. It also lowered the A1C by 10%. But that's not all. That very same study also showed that Morus alba protects the cardiovascular system. Volunteers given Morus alba saw their cholesterol drop by an average of 12%, and their triglycerides dropped 16%. Several other studies have also shown that Morus alba also enhances insulin sensitivity and increases the amount of sugar shuttled into the cells by as much as 54%. In one animal study, Morus alba was also shown to increase levels of the hormone adiponectin, which regulates glucose levels, lowers fat accumulation, and reduces inflammation. But you won't hear much about any of this in Western medicine. In fact, when I learned about it, I could hardly contain myself. I also finally understood why Big Pharma was so upset with Dr. Patel. According to Dr. Patel, when Morus alba enters your system, it works in 3 distinct ways. Step 1. Morus alba blocks alpha cell activity and decreases the release of sugar from the liver. This gives the beta cells a break because they're no longer forced to respond to the constant sugar release. Step 2. Morus alba blocks enzymes that convert starches into sugar. This means more of what you eat simply passes right through you instead of being turned into sugar and stored as fat. Step 3. Morus alba increases insulin sensitivity, helping you get more sugar from your blood into your cells. The triple action process significantly lowers blood sugar and makes your body much more efficient. Your metabolism shifts from fat storing mode to fat burning mode as excess fat melts. Also, because more sugar is being transported into your cells, your sugar cravings disappear. It's truly incredible what Morus alba can do. But that was just one of the incredible nutrients Dr. Patel had isolated. He wrote down the others on a piece of paper, handing it to me with a warning. This formula isn't only about the ingredients, he said. It has to be dosed appropriately, and each ingredient has to be taken in precise amounts. Too much of one ingredient or too little of another, and you won't trigger the desired benefit. With that, I thanked him. As he walked me to the door, he stopped and said, "Well, I'm in the middle of a dozen lawsuits right now because of what I just gave you, so please take it and use it and share it with others." Excited and filled with a renewed sense of hope, man, I headed back home. And on the way, I called my wife and told her that I had found what I thought could be the answer to my high blood sugar problems without giving away too many of the details. When I got home, I gave my wife a quick hug and a kiss, and then I beelined my way to my home office to research for the ingredients. Many of them were not readily available here in the US, and I had a special order for them, and I had to place it like in places like India, Africa, and Australia. It was painfully expensive, but I knew what was at stake. Within a week, the ingredients started to arrive, and when I finally had all of them, I placed them on my kitchen table and pulled out a piece of paper on which I'd written Dr. Patel's instructions. Now, for starters, I had to grind down each ingredient into a fine powder. Then I weighed each of them to make sure that they mixed together perfectly. I had put 1 tablespoon of blended powder into an 8-ounce glass of water and drink it first thing each morning. It tasted terrible, but I knew its potential, so I plugged my nose up and chugged it down as quickly as possible. Then I'd wait an hour or so and have breakfast. Almost immediately after drinking it, I'd felt a sense of calm wash over my body. My mind cleared, and I could feel what I can only describe as energy pulsing through my veins. My days seemed to get easier, and my body felt lighter. When I got home from work, I no longer felt like I needed to rest in my recliner. Instead, I was helping my wife in the kitchen, tinkering around the house, and taking the dog for long walks. Something was definitely happening. I didn't tell my wife exactly what I was doing, but she could tell something was up. I wanted it to be a surprise, and after everything we'd been through, I didn't want her to get her hopes up. I drank my concoction every morning following my first blood sugar check of the day, and I couldn't believe what I was seeing. My numbers continued to come down. I hadn't changed anything about my diet, yet the blood sugar meter didn't lie. As if that wasn't enough, when I weighed myself for the first time after starting my new morning ritual, I was down almost 9 pounds. That's when I knew that I was on to something. I thought back to what I'd been eating over the past week or so and realized I wasn't stopping during the day for snacks. I wasn't waking up with sugar cravings, and the last thing I wanted before bed was something sweet. 2 weeks later, I was down almost 17 pounds. The numbness in my feet was gone, the knee pain had completely disappeared, and my body felt loose and oddly comfortable. My right arm seemed stronger, and my grip was back to normal. I was sleeping better, waking up early, and feeling energized and ready for the day. My mood was positive, and I was once again excited about life and the future. I dusted off my golf clubs and headed to the driving range for the first time in almost 2 years. And on Sunday, I invited my son and his wife over for a barbecue. I felt like the old Jerry was back. That night in bed, my wife and I reconnected in a way that we hadn't in a long time, and it was amazing. I felt so close to my wife and so in love again. As we snuggled afterwards, I told her what I'd been doing. I told her about ordering the ingredients and how I'd been using them every morning. And while she could definitely see and feel a difference in me, she was still concerned. She made me promise that I would follow up with my doctor and get his take on what was happening and what I should do next. And I agreed. Over the next 60 days, every sign and symptom of diabetes continued to vanish. I'd lost close to 48 pounds. I was once again fitting into my jeans. I was even confident enough to tuck in my shirt. I felt like God had taken 20 years off my body, restoring it to what it was long before I had any issues with blood sugar or my weight. Not only did I look better, I felt better too. My energy was through the roof, and I was looking forward to all of the time with my new grandson. I was sleeping soundly, waking up without the alarm. My wife and I were back to a healthy, normal sex life, and things kept getting better and better. I'd forgotten just how good life can be without diabetes. I was once again madly in love with life. My job, my family, my friends, everything was amazing. And I was following up with my doctor. He couldn't believe his eyes. He said, "Jerry, I almost didn't recognize you. Your blood work is that of a healthy 30-year-old without diabetes." He said that in his 25 years of practicing, he never had seen such a transformation. And then he did something that I never thought he'd ever do. He took me off all my meds, not just one of them, but all of them. My wife was crying tears of joy. On the way home, I called my son to share the good news with him. And he had some good news of his own. His wife was in labor, so we turned the car around and I met him at the hospital. 2 hours later, I met my new grandson, Benjamin Jerry Miller. Honestly, I didn't think the day could get any better. God had already blessed me with good health and now a new grandson. Yet, as we made our way home, I couldn't help but think of all the other people out there suffering from erratic and uncontrollable blood sugar. Folks trapped in the same vicious cycle of medication, side effects, and complications. Like sitting ducks, waiting for bad blood sugar to destroy their health, their families, and finances. It was at that moment I remembered the promise I made to God. It was time for me to share everything I knew. So I started making larger batches of my mixture and sharing it with friends, family, and coworkers who were overweight, diabetic, or both. Some were just looking to lose weight. Others were pre-diabetics, and some had full-blown diabetes. I gave each of them enough to last at least 30 days and told them exactly how to use it. And while it was expensive, I knew that I was doing what God wanted me to do and that whatever I needed to do to fulfill my mission would come to me. As the word spread, more people reached out to me asking about my magic mixture. People at work, at the gym, at the country club, and even at the grocery store. Everyone I shared it with experienced amazing results. People like Rhonda Kay, who says,
I wasn't expecting much, but had to try to see what happens. I started taking this several months before my last checkup. My prior 3 doctor's visits showed that my A1C had increased each time. This time it went down. Not just a little, a lot. I didn't change anything else.
And Sally R., she says,
I can't say enough about this blood sugar miracle. I've been a diabetic for 22 years, and I have been on every medication you can imagine. My morning reading is down 43 points, and it's still going down. I've lost 16 pounds, and I feel so much better. My doctor hasn't even lowered my meds yet, but said if I keep moving in this direction, she would on my next visit.
Finally, Brent G. had this to say.
I've tried a lot of natural approaches to getting my blood sugar under control. I've tried keto, paleo, and even Atkins. And while they did lower my blood sugar, my sugar cravings never really went away, so they weren't helpful long term. This solution is much different. I actually eat what I want, but feel as if my body just works better.
Every single one of them lost weight, lowered their blood sugar, and felt better than they had in years. Word spread like wildfire, but I could hardly keep up. The ingredients were expensive, and I couldn't afford to supply everyone who needed them. Supply chains were drying up, costs were rising, and the lag time made it so people had to wait weeks, if not months, for their next supply. So I started taking donations to help with the costs, but most people just couldn't afford it. As a result, people had to stop using the mixture, and as a consequence, they watched helplessly as both their weight and their blood sugar started to rise. There had to be a way to make everything easier, a way to help everyone access this amazing nutrient mixture at an affordable price. Then, almost as if God was speaking to me directly, I had a flash of thought. What if I could find a manufacturer to take over ordering and mixing these nutrients? And what if instead of having to mix it in water, they could put it into a small, easy to swallow capsule? Better yet, what if they could do it all at a reasonable price while ensuring both the highest purity and potency? I knew there were facilities all across America just like that, because in my line of work, we often had to inspect those types of facilities and their water supplies. And after several phone calls, I managed to work out a deal with a prestigious state-of-the-art manufacturing facility right here in the USA. They were both FDA registered and GMP, or Good Manufacturing Practice certified. So we reached an agreement where they would carefully prepare the rare ingredients into a single, safe, and easy to swallow plant-filled capsule to be taken every morning. Their in-house team of experts also suggested a few additional science-backed ingredients, which they said would only add to the blood sugar lowering benefits. And after careful testing, I can confidently say they were right. That's why today I'm able to proudly introduce you to Gluco24. We decided on that name because it gives you 24 hours of protection. Just one capsule per day before breakfast is all you need to reset healthy blood sugar. Now, because I want you to fully understand exactly how Gluco24 works, I'd like to share some additional information about each ingredient. For starters, you already know about the powerful benefits of Morus alba, also known as white mulberry, or what I like to call the sugar blocker. Nature is always superior in eliminating blood sugar worries, restoring your health, and shedding excess body fat. Finding quality suppliers of Morus alba wasn't easy, but thanks to my partners over at the manufacturing facility, we overcame our supply chain issues by finding a small independent supplier who grows the purest, most potent Morus alba on the planet. And while other supplements out there claim to offer a high quality Morus alba, there's just no comparison. And while the sugar blocker is an amazing and powerful nutrient, that was just the beginning. Because next we added something known as Gurmar or Gymnema sylvestre. I call it the craving eliminator because it blocks your cravings. Studies show that Gurmar contains powerful antioxidant capabilities as well as anti-inflammatory properties. And according to experts, when Gurmar enters your system, it supports beta cell regeneration, blocks your gut from producing glucose, and blocks sugar receptors on your taste buds, which helps eliminate cravings. Next, we added biotin, also known as the sugar burner. Biotin has been shown to help your body convert stored sugar into energy. It supports healthy blood sugar and enhances your body's ability to burn carbs and sugar. Biotin is even more effective when combined with our next ingredient, chromium, or something that I call the insulin whisperer. And what's really great about chromium is that according to Harvard University, chromium safely and effectively lowers blood sugar and improves insulin sensitivity. A lack of chromium can also interfere with your ability to lose weight. Adding the perfect amount of chromium to each serving of Gluco24 gives your metabolism the perfect boost it needs to start melting away stored fat like a blowtorch through butter. We also added manganese, another vital nutrient involved in insulin production. Next up was licorice root, an ancient Egyptian remedy used to support healthy liver function. It also helps with weight loss and reduces cravings. Now, cinnamon has also been added to the formula thanks to its ability to improve beta cell function and enhance insulin sensitivity. But that's not all cinnamon can do. It has also been shown to support healthy blood pressure and has powerful antiviral, antibacterial, and anti-inflammatory properties. We added zinc, which according to research helps with beta cell function and insulin sensitivity. And juniper berry due to its ability to lower blood sugar while reducing inflammation and eliminating both bacteria and viruses. It's not hard to see just how powerful this formula is and what makes Gluco24 the best supplement of its kind. And if that wasn't enough, well, the Gluco24 formula also contains a proprietary blend of 15 herbs that together regulate and enhance your metabolism, accelerating fat loss and enhancing your body's ability to make energy. By now, I'm sure you're wondering how you can get your hands on this powerful and life-changing formula. And taking action now would be one of the smartest decisions of your life. I don't say that just because of the coordinated attacks by Big Pharma that threaten to shut us down at the moment's notice, but also because of what's happening in the world right now with the supply chain and the availability of these premium nutrients. You see, we do our best to purchase in large quantities. However, there is only so much available at any given time, and potency is highly associated with how fresh the ingredients are. So far, we've been able to fulfill orders on time. However, we never expected the volume of orders that have recently been pouring in. Morus alba, the incredible sugar blocker, is always a challenge to get because it's in high demand, and because we source ours from an independent grower whose potency far surpasses anything else available. We're at their mercy to produce it. No other supplement on the market goes to such great lengths or demands such quality. It's why our results are so good. And the proprietary blend of specialized herbs designed to optimize your metabolism contains at least 5 nutrients that are routinely on back order, which means they can run out of stock without any warning at all. However, because we just placed a large order securing our supply for at least one more full batch, you have an exclusive opportunity that I promise you won't want to pass up. But before I get to that though, you may be wondering how much Gluco24 costs. And to answer that, let me start by asking you a simple yet important question. What will it cost you if you do not take advantage of this opportunity? Let me share a few sobering statistics with you. Did you know that the average diabetes patient spends approximately $211,400 in their lifetime? That's a mind-boggling amount and takes away from your future financial security. All that for treatments that provide nothing more than a Band-Aid. And what if you tried to do this all yourself? It's certainly possible. I did it, but let me tell you, it was extremely expensive and time-consuming. A 30-day supply will run you at least $499. So $499 would be a pretty reasonable price for one bottle of Gluco24, especially considering that every last ingredient has been carefully sourced, weighed, and measured, then put into a small, easy-to-swallow capsule. But today, you won't have to pay anything close to $499, not even half of that, or even 1/3 of that. In fact, given the value associated with Gluco24, we could easily charge $1,000 or more, and it would still be a tremendous bargain. But you won't pay that today, not even close, because a 6-month supply of Gluco24 won't cost you $1,000, not $500. Look below and see for yourself. I know you'll be thrilled when you see how much of a discount you qualify for today. Frankly, you'll probably wonder why we don't charge more. My answer to that is simple. I don't want anyone to be priced out of the opportunity to regain their health, reverse their diabetes, and gain the freedom to know that they've restored their healthy blood sugar. But that's not the only reason. After experiencing firsthand the monopoly Big Pharma has on our healthcare system and seeing how they tried to silence Dr. Patel, I want nothing more than to help others break free from their dependence on prescription drugs. And with today's discount, I'm confident that you'll soon experience firsthand what I exactly mean. So while it's hard to actually put a price on Gluco24, it's much easier to talk about its value. To me and so many others, this is nothing short of priceless. Right now, you can try Gluco24 at the lowest price possible because I know that the more hands that we get this breakthrough blood sugar supplement into, the more people will see its amazing results. However, I do have to say that now that this presentation has national attention, Gluco24 supplies are beginning to run out. And as right now, we don't know when the next batch will be available. And that's why we recommend that you take advantage of this extremely generous offer to try Gluco24 today at a huge discount. Just look at what some of our recent customers had to say about Gluco24. Terrence P., Baltimore, Maryland.
I lost 29 pounds in 2 months, and my blood sugars dropped 57 points.
Tom J., El Paso, Texas.
I am sold. This is by far the most effective way to manage my blood sugar. I eat what I want and I never have to worry. This is borderline ridiculous.
Sarah M., Miami, Florida.
You saved my life. I was literally ready to give up, but then I heard your story. You gave me hope, and everything you said was true. I am eternally grateful.
Their results are amazing, and they only get better. That's why we suggest choosing at least 3 bottles of Gluco24. However, after reviewing past orders, customers who reported the best results almost always chose the 6-month 6-bottle option. They also enjoy the biggest discount when ordering the 6-bottle option, which you may not see again. And the 6-bottle solution offered them the best chance at reversing their diabetes and supporting long-term healthy blood sugar. A single batch of Gluco24 can take up to 3 months to produce, and that's only if all the ingredients are available. This means that these bottles are extremely valuable and we should be charging more, but we have no intentions of ever being driven blindly by profits like Big Pharma. Instead, we have just one goal: to get Gluco24 to as many people as humanly possible and to everyone who needs it. Especially now with everything that's happening around the world. We just want to help as many people as possible while collecting positive reviews and real-life case studies. Frankly, we're barely breaking even on this. The cost of sourcing these ingredients from premium and organic suppliers and using a pristine, state-of-the-art, quality-controlled facility isn't cheap. And the 24-hour customer support, the shipping department, and warehousing costs, and you can see how it all adds up. We're even offering free shipping on 3 and 6 bottle orders. That's even more savings on top of the deep discounts already in place. So go ahead and choose your package below. Our team is standing by, ready to pack up and ship out your order. And you can rest easy knowing that healthy blood sugar is just a click away and that every last ingredient has been clinically proven to work. You now know the powerful benefits of balancing the alpha and beta cells in the pancreas and how the Morus alba, also known as the sugar-blocking nutrient, is just one of the powerful ingredients inside Gluco24. You know exactly how everything works and what an incredible bargain it all is. However, if you're still wondering whether this is for you, I will make it easier than ever for you to try Gluco24 by taking away all the risk. When you place your order of Gluco24 right now, whether it's 1 bottle, 3 bottles, or the 6 bottle option, you're fully covered by our 100% no hassle, no questions asked, 180-day money-back guarantee. That means you have 6 full months to see what Gluco24 can do for you. It also means that if for some reason you decide that you want a refund or feel as if Gluco24 failed in some way to meet your expectations, you don't even need to explain why. We'll promptly return your payment, no questions asked. So essentially, today isn't really a payment at all. Instead, it's a test drive to make sure Gluco24 measures up. There's no hidden charges or sneaky subscriptions. My advisors were dead set against offering such a generous guarantee and recommended that I offer only a simple 30-day money-back guarantee instead. But I stood firm because I know what Gluco24 did for me and what it can do for you. So I didn't want anything to stand in your way. Plus, I know you're going to love it. So while that 180-day refund period is there to give you peace of mind, I'm confident that you won't be sending us a refund request, but instead a heartfelt testimony, like this one from Mary B.
I've been diabetic for the last 15 years. I've resigned myself to living with this disease and managing it the best I can. I've watched helplessly as my medications have increased steadily over the last few years, and my numbers have skyrocketed out of control. My doctor said the next step is an insulin pump, but after using this, I'm happy to say that there's no need for a pump. In fact, my medications and my numbers have decreased. I can't thank you enough.
For many Gluco24 users, eliminating high blood sugar and rapid weight loss is only the beginning. Folks of all ages and from all walks of life are amazed by their results. And with Gluco24, it's not just about blood sugar, it's about health, longevity, and quality of life. Simply click on the package below that you prefer and enter your details on the next page. As soon as you place your order, our warehouse team will immediately pack it up and ship it to you fast so that you can begin the experience and benefit of Gluco24 as quickly as possible. Within days, just a few days. In case you still aren't sure which package to choose from, we recommend you grab the 3 or the 6 bottle package because this may be your last chance to stock up. And customer feedback shows most women and men really start to experience significant progress and long-term results around the 60-day mark. At 90 days, it's almost as if they're completely a different person. Overweight and out-of-shape bodies are now slender, lean, and energized. Wrinkled skin and aging complexions now appear 10, 15, or 20 years younger. Dry skin and brittle hair are now healthy, radiant, and glowing. Imagine completely turning around your health in just the next 90 days. Think of how envious everyone will be as they see the leaner, healthier, more youthful-looking you. See yourself in that new swimsuit, the feelings of confidence growing as all eyes are on you. Your poor health, high blood sugar, and all that extra weight are now all things of the past. And the best part is that getting here was easy. In fact, the whole process has been enjoyable, and your body is now working the way it was meant to work. Your energy is back, your cravings are gone, and your alpha and beta cells work in perfect harmony to keep your blood sugar balanced. Your metabolism works perfectly, almost as if you're incapable of gaining weight. Well, these are the sort of results that you can look forward to after taking Gluco24 for 60 or 90 days. Plus, when you choose one of the multi-bottle packages, you'll also receive free shipping. Now, at this point, it should be pretty clear to you that Gluco24 is the solution. And now you know that this is a great deal. It's now time for you to choose the money-saving package and complete your order. Simply click the package below and you'll be taken to our order page. And just so you know, our order page is equipped with the latest encryption technology. And to further protect your privacy, nothing about Gluco24 will appear on your credit card or bank statement. The only thing that will show up will be a charge from ClickBank, which is the secure payment processor that we use. ClickBank processes over 100,000 secure transactions daily. Look, if taking Gluco24 for a test drive doesn't turn out to be the smartest decision you've ever made, or if at some point you simply decide it's not for you, email us at any time over the next 180 days and your investment will be refunded. Our friendly customer support team is always there to answer any questions that you may have. There's zero risk. In fact, your only risk is regretting that you missed this opportunity. So go ahead and select either the 3 or 6 bottle package below. Then on the next page, fill out your details and give Gluco24 a try. It takes just a few seconds, but you must act now.